we'll go down to Bryant-Denny Stadium then, and this is somehow a revenge game for Alabama as they host Vanderbilt. They're 10.5-point favorites right now. Can Diego Pavia do it again? They won in a stunner at Vandy last year. And once again, it's like kind of same scenario. Alabama's coming off the Georgia win. But it doesn't really feel like it could be a look-ahead spot this year because of what happened last year. Like, it just doesn't at all have the same vibes around it. Diego Pavia is basically saying that if we play our game, it won't be close, stuff like that. The spread completely disagrees with that. But initial thoughts on this game, either of y'all?
I mean, Vandy has a chance,
Sure.
which is, it's crazy to say that now in Tuscaloosa when there was no one thought they had a chance last year, but they're playing really well. They're first in the country in points per game right now with 50. Diego Pavia, we talked about this in the South Carolina preview, but right now, like, he's got luck on his side. He's doing a lot of crazy stuff that shouldn't work, but it is working. A lot of highlight plays, the backwards lateral, like overhand, just throws it, swings it to a guy, which I loved. Sam Monson talks all the time about how like NFL teams should like try to use more rugby style stuff because it could work potentially, and that was a great case of it working, of just swinging the ball out wide and there's no one out there to set the edge. But Diego Pavia is playing really well. Ty Simpson, a guy that I was willing to like jump on as being awful after that Florida State game, has bounced back and is having a really great season. He's moved up in the Heisman voting, I believe, to top 3 maybe. He's getting up there. 87.9 PFF grade, so he's playing really well. But I do think I'm interested to see, how does Vandy play in Tuscaloosa? How, like, do they still have the chip on their shoulder, or can they not kind of keep that up now that they're ranked and people know that they're good? Can they still play with that same fire? I expect them to be able to. I also expect it to matter, but can they get in Alabama's heads, right? Because that's kind of what we've seen from Alabama is they run into bad matchups and they don't look like Alabama for a game. That happened to them last year against Vandy. It happened to them against Oklahoma. It happened to them against Florida State. The defense had no fire. The defense had no motor. They just looked beat from the get-go. And so can Vandy get in their heads after beating them last year? Can they force turnovers? Right now, Alabama they've had 0 turnovers through 4 games.
Good stuff, Alabama.
Which is, it's kind of crazy that you can lose that Florida State game without a turnover and then bounce back and go 3 more games after that, playing Georgia along the way, not record a turnover. That's huge for Alabama. So can Vanderbilt kind of counter that and force a turnover? Can Alabama stop the rush? Right now, Vanderbilt's got a lot of big plays, so they're averaging 6.7 yards per carry, which is 3rd, and 9.3 yards per pass, which is 11th in the country. So a lot of big plays, big chunk plays. That'll be big. Y'all's thoughts?
Yeah. Vandy's definitely going to try and play with the same fire they always do, and get in Alabama's head. But I don't think that's going to happen. Based on what I've seen from Ty Simpson kind of becoming the leader of this team post the Week 1 debacle that was a loss to Florida State, I think this team has regrouped really well. They've gathered around Ty Simpson. They've gathered around Kalen DeBoer. They're ready to play. They have a chip on their shoulder as well because you can't take more of an embarrassing loss than they did at Vandy last year. Obviously, Vandy ended up being better than we thought, but they were the laughingstock of college football for weeks there. And that just stings. They still play pretty well at home under Kalen DeBoer. So I think it's going to be a thing of Vandy may not have that edge that they do in terms of chip on their shoulder in most games because Alabama's right there. And the other thing I want to look at is Vandy's stats are fantastic, but this is easily the best team they've played. The best game prior to this for Vandy is South Carolina, and they played a large part of the game without Lenore Sellers, which I do think Vandy still would have won, but the game got away from South Carolina post the Lenore Sellers injury for sure. So I'm interested to see, like, can they keep up this offensive success against a better defense, a defense with more, they're faster, they're more athletic, they're bigger, stuff like that. They have run the ball very well, and they have stopped the run very well. So that's kind of the key to the game, again, is just control the ground, win the line of scrimmage a lot like last year. I just don't know if they're going to have success like that against this Alabama team. And then finally, you got to get after Ty Simpson because he's just been dynamite from a clean pocket. And if you just let him stand back there, he's going to find Jeremy Bernard. He's going to find Ryan Williams. He's going to find Lotsier Brooks. So you have to find a way to pressure him and get him off his spot, or it's going to be a long night from that standpoint. But that's kind of my main stuff.
DeBoer is 10-0 at home.
Yeah.
Versus he's 4 losses on the road. I think it might be 3-4 on the road. If I'm not mistaken, the win at Wisconsin last year. Yeah, 3-4 at the road, the win at LSU, and then, they win at home.
Yeah.
But they don't necessarily play great at home, I'd argue, under DeBoer. Last year, the South Florida game at home was close into the fourth quarter, and then they ran up the score in the fourth quarter and won that 42-16. The Georgia game, they were blowing out Georgia, allowed Georgia into the game, and it becomes just a 7-point victory. The week after the Vandy game, they play South Carolina at home, and South Carolina is missing a 2-point conversion from winning that game, and they win by 2, 27-25. So, and even in the Iron Bowl, they didn't necessarily blow out a terrible Auburn team. They only won by 14 in the Iron Bowl last year in Tuscaloosa. So, I think Vandy covers very easily in this game. I think this is a dogfight to the fourth quarter. Last week, Bama showed a ton of just great stuff offensively in the first half, being able to run the ball, long, extended drives. I mean, their first 2 drives of the game were marathons. I forgot. That might have been the word that Chris Fowler used after the first touchdown drive, that it was literally a marathon because it took them, I think it was 14-plus plays that entire drive to get down the field against Georgia. It's also kind of been how they've scored a lot of their touchdown drives this year. The Florida State game, like that's how they opened the Florida State game. They've been great at their opening script, at getting down the field and scoring touchdowns. And they did that last week against Georgia. But in the second half, they were slowed down offensively. The pass rush was starting to get to them. They couldn't get necessarily what they wanted on the ground. You had players dropping key passes. Like, not everything was there. For Vandy, their key is, can they stop Alabama on that first drive, and especially in that first half? And if they can do that, it's a dogfight the whole way home. And that's quoting Tom Cruise from Top Gun Maverick. I think it'll literally be like that. I think it's going to be a dogfight in Tuscaloosa on Saturday. I think Diego's a gamer. I think that's a huge part of why you kind of feel like they have to have a chance in this game, because who has beaten Bama? At least it's Nick Saban's Bama. Who would beat them all the time? A gamer. Just a freaking dog at quarterback. Johnny Manziel, Joe Burrow. You need one of those kind of performances to win a game. To win a game in Tuscaloosa, you need that kind of performance. Cam Newton. You need something like that. Now, is Diego Pavia Cam Newton, Joe Burrow, or Johnny Manziel?
No.
Hell no.
Johnny Manziel will be on the field, though. So
He will be on the sideline.
But Johnny Manziel is in Diego Pavia's corner. And I think Pavia may put up a kind of performance like that on Saturday. I don't think he's going to be scared of Alabama's defense. Just the biggest thing for him is avoid turning the ball over as much as possible. Sure. But I think that's just going to be more of a luck thing for him, because if they're going to win this game, he's got to play aggressively.
You have to take chances.
You got to take chances to do that. And so I think you just pray to the heavens the night before, dear Lord, please don't let me throw a pick when I throw it into triple coverage tomorrow night.
Yeah.
You need that kind of thing for that to happen for Vanderbilt. I think Bama wins, but I think Vandy covers. I just think this is a dogfight the entire way. I think they've got the pieces. Vanderbilt, with the ability to run the ball, if they're able to run the ball against Bama, they're going to be able to control the time of possession, and it'll shorten the game, and it keeps them in the game. But watch the first drive. If they forced Bama to punt on that first drive, or even the 3 points, Vanderbilt's in this game immediately.
The way I see this going, I feel like there are 2 options. I think it's a close game. Diego Pavia balls and they win. And then the other option is we get the same opening drive they had at South Carolina, where there's all this hype, and then Alabama comes out and sacks Diego Pavia or tackles Cedric Alexander in the backfield, and you go, oh shoot, we forgot that like this is Vanderbilt versus like we let the hype fool us. This is Vanderbilt versus Alabama.
There are levels to this.
Alabama has the second most talented roster in the country. They're playing in Tuscaloosa this year. Like, we kind of forgot. And I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, we'll get to that. I'll get to my pick later. But I could see a world where we get a Georgia TCU game where we're looking back saying, I don't think the score should have been this far apart, but Alabama just came out pissed. And they played like it. And there was no amount of cockiness from Diego Pavia that was going to save them in Alabama. I don't think that's likely, right? This isn't Nick Saban. This is a different Alabama, but I do think that's a real possibility. That'll be something I'll be interested to see, because I can just see it in my mind. Is it the edge? Is it LT Overton?
Yes.
Just comes out and immediately it's just like, this is why, like, we are not the same Alabama, but we're still pretty damn good. I don't think that's going to happen, but I'll be interested to see. Do we want to get into picks?
Yeah, JP already picked it.
Oh, I'll go and get into mine then. I don't see that happening. I'll be watching for it. I do think Diego Pavia is going to be able to ball. I'm going to pick Vandy to cover, and because there's nothing to lose, I'm going to pick him to win.
Yeah, so I think I align more with kind of your latter prediction, Sanders. I think Bama's going to come out pissed. I think, like I said, they've really rallied around Ty Simpson. He's become a vocal leader, and they go put on a show and remind Vanderbilt that there's levels to this, that you can be the fun underdog. And they are good. Like, Vandy's a quality team. But there's just, you can be a quality team and still not be able to match up to Bama. And so I think Bama covers this game. I don't think it's particularly close. But, yeah, give me Bama to cover the 10.5.
All right. I mean, you kind of had to say it. You picked them as your national champion. Like, you kind of have to back them.
I mean, as long as they win this game, you're still chugging along to that goal. You don't have to win it. You can win it by 1 point. I don't care.
I'm so glad this game is at 2:30. Because our game's the night game, right?
Yes.
I'm so glad. We'll get to, like, I guess, watch this. Will we be tailgating? No?
No, I don't know. We'll
We'll
be watching.
We'll be watching on our phones. We'll be watching on our phones.
Yeah.
It's going to be electric. Yeah, cannot wait. Cromie picked Vandy to win, but Bama to cover. So
Good luck with that, Cromie.
yeah, I don't know how much money you have on that, but
You just found an alternate spread somewhere.
if
Yeah.
you would have rather just Venmo'd me that money instead of throwing it away, that would have been really cool.
He found Diego Pavia's bookie.
Yeah,